Right, hello everybody. Merry Christmas to you all. Hope you had lovely holidays. Now then, this is our second proper football live show. And if you haven't seen our first pilot show, then I should let you know about what proper football's all about. Now, basically, we're three working class football fans behind proper football. We've got myself, Dan, I'm a Palace fan. We've got Gary, Watford fan. And we've got Simon Wilton, Bristol Rovers fan. Now, our pilot show went really well. We had 7,000 views, so we're very happy about that. So let's crack on with the show. Now, also, what we're going to talk about in proper football, about the page, about the group, it's about how we're disgruntled and by the way modern football's going and the disregard that the fans are being, like, we just treat with disregard and contempt. So we're going to be highlighting all them sort of things. Also, we're going to be highlighting the good things as well, like Leicester, Ipswich last week done some good initiatives. So we'll be covering stuff like that as well. We'll also be covering non-league and lower league football as well, because it's not all about the Premier League. And so we'll be doing lots of stuff. Like each week, we'll be talking about all topical football issues and having a special guest on. Now, special guest this week, he's struggling to get on at the minute, so we're going to have to see how that goes. But anyway, let's crack on with the show. And first, I'm going to introduce Simon. Hello, Simon. Can you hear me, mate?
Hello, mate. You all right? Yeah. Michael's on now, I believe. He's there, waiting in the wings.
Oh, brilliant. Merry Christmas, mate. How you been, all right?
Yeah, all good. A lot of COVID about, but all good. You?
Yeah, I've tested positive yesterday, so but I'm feeling all right. If I have a little wonky moment, then yeah. So Bristol Rovers had a good Christmas, mate. Undefeated.
Yep. Yeah, undefeated. We've not played, but our game on New Year's Day is on away to Leighton Orient. So we've got.
It's on.
Finally, we got a game on. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So do you want to let us know what you're going to be covering tonight on the show?
We're going to be talking a bit about Southend United, what's going on there. We're bringing on someone from the Martin Out campaign. We'll be coming on, chat to us for a bit. So that's my main bit, yeah.
Brilliant. All right then, mate. We'll come back to you in a minute. I want to get Gary on now. Are you there, Gary?
Oh.
Hello.
Woohoo.
Hello, Gal. Merry Christmas, mate.
Merry Christmas. How
you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good.
I guess you don't want to talk about the Watford.
No, I don't want to talk about that shambles that's called Watford. No, not a diabolical performance.
Moving on swiftly then. What are you covering tonight, mate?
So I'm going to be talking non-league football. We've been gabbling on about it for a while, but I think we're beginning now, particularly with Boxing Day, the crowds, the amount of fans pouring into the non-league grounds, and I think it's becoming more and more popular. The BBC did a bit of a thing on it the other week, but failed to mention that a lot of the reason for this, I believe, is the disillusionment of other fans. So we're going to talk a lot of non-league football tonight. Yeah.
Brilliant. Nice one. One thing I forgot to mention at the start was that we want people to get involved. This is a platform for people to have a voice. So we're live on Facebook, live on Twitter and YouTube. So any comments people want to make or get involved, you can just give us what you want to say and we'll see it in our little message box here and we can have a chat with you about it. Also, you can drop us a line on our website, on our email. This is getinvolved@properfootball.co.uk. That's getinvolved@properfootball.co.uk. And if you want to get on any future shows, anything happening in your club, just drop us a line and let us know. I do apologise if you can hear a dog barking in the background. Can you hear a dog barking in the background? No, good.
I could hear a dog in the background, but it weren't mine.
No, it must be Simon.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, God. Right, so let's crack on with the show. We've got lots to cover, and I think Michael's ready to come on. So what we're going to do? Michael's a director, actor, and writer. Last year, his film came out called Break. It was his debut as a director and a writer. So we're going to play the trailer from Break, and then we're going to get Michael on after the trailer.
Everyone in this life is born with at least one talent, a gift. Sadly, most of us will never realise our true potential. Either we're too poor, we were born on the wrong side of the tracks, or maybe we're just unlucky. But the truth is, the only thing holding us back is ourselves.
You're dealing Class A, boy, and for what?
A week, right?
Yeah, sweet as.
Good luck.
Had the old bill turn the house upside down.
You or me?
This is just interest. You still owe $5 grand.
You owe me $5,000 plus 10%, and I'll give you 11 days to pay me back.
Fancy a game?
Who's Vincent Chang?
5 years and, not hello dad, how are you?
So what'd you say? Can you match it?
Nowadays he's like coaching.
What's the point in having talent if you keep it to yourself? Unlucky Spencer. How'd you know my name? I was sent for you.
It was a dream you've always wanted to be a snooker player.
Yes!
Do you know about my dreams? I hardly saw you before you was in it. You don't know me.
Vincent asked if I could play a few frames.
Do you know how?
I've underestimated you, and I.
The writing's on the wall.
No smoking, no drinking the night before a match. You need a clear head.
Walking out front smoking a big reefer.
You're a bad risk. Forget it.
Couldn't wait to drop me.
You need to start taking responsibility for your actions.
Think you're better than me?
I don't think I'm better than you. I think you're better than you.
There you go. That's break. And can we see Michael?
Hello, fellas.
There you go. Hello, Mike.
Right, I can
thought
barely
my
hear
dog
you.
got a ceiling.
I'm having really bad volume issues for some reason. I can see you all. So when you do talk, really enunciate your words so I can actually see what you're saying, because it's literally so quiet I can barely hear you.
Hey?
I'm trying to log in on a different device as I'm talking to you.
Okay, can you hear me now, Mike?
I can hear you, yeah, but it's like you are millions of miles away, but yeah, it's like you're a long way away. I have to really tune in.
All right, mate. Well, start off about the film Break. It's a great film. I've watched it. I know Gary, Simon have watched it. I've watched it a couple of times, actually. Do you want to give us a little brief rundown of what it's about?
Yeah, Break's about a young guy growing up on a council estate. He's getting involved in all the usual stuff that he shouldn't be getting involved in, drug dealing and whatever else. He gets heavily in debt, but he's a very talented snooker player. And one day he gets spotted down the club and someone tries to encourage him to break away from his the path that he's going down and put him on a proper path, and they encourage him to play a snooker tournament in Beijing in China. So it's basically about him trying to break away and make a better life for himself with the talent that he's got, which in his case happens to be a talent with a snooker cue.
Right, and there's probably a few similarities of young footballers coming through, isn't there, who get distracted at that young age.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's years ago. I don't know what it's so much like now, snooker, but it's very much, I'd imagine, it's the same, a working class sport. I mean, I don't know about yourself, Dan, but I used to hang about around Tulse Hill Snooker Club, Norwood, and all them clubs, Crystal Palace occasionally, when I should have been at school. They were good little places to go and lose yourself during the day, and it's very much a working class sport. And I just wondered why it had never been done, why no one ever, touched on the subject that a lot of them places were like little dens of inequity. You'd have people coming in selling nookie gear all day long, and but there was talent. I mean, the one I wrote about in particular was a kid at Brixton who was a really good player, but he was dealing drugs and doing all different stuff, and it just was always puzzling to me why he never picked up the cue and at least tried his luck as a pro, because he was that good.
Yeah, I used to go to Brixton snooker a bit, and I think there was a geezer at West Norwood who's very similar. Great little player, but I don't think he ever got into he got involved in other things, sadly for him. But yeah, it's a great film, mate, and it's Rutger Hauer's last ever appearance before he passed away.
It was, yeah. Sadly, he died about three months after we finished filming. Might have been a little bit longer, actually. Might have been. He died on the 19th of July. So,
yeah. Shame.
It weren't long after, bless him. He was a lovely fella as well. I like Rutger.
Yeah, and your film was COVID affected, wasn't it? Last year, it couldn't come out because of the COVID stuff going on.
Yeah, we were due to release it. The year COVID hit, we were due to release in cinemas, and then they shut them all down. So we basically had to rethink things, and we had the premiere at a drive-in in Brent Cross, of all places. But it went well. There was a smattering of little well-known faces there, that came down. The press were there. ITV did a bit on it, the BBC and stuff like that. But obviously you can't beat having a cinema run, because that's a big part of your revenue. So it really hit us hard financially. And it's now out on, it's been out on Sky Store, Virgin Media, iTunes and Amazon Prime. It's now available to any subscribers of Amazon for free. So if you do subscribe to Amazon, please get on there and give it a watch. Brilliant. Support British independent film.
Definitely. Right, we're going to find a bit more about yourself, mate. We do every guest we have on. We do quick fire questions. So we've got 3 each. I think Simon's going to kick off with these 3 quick questions for you. Off you go, Si.
All right, then, Mike. First
Hello,
ever
Simon.
football match. First ever
Sorry,
football match.
couldn't hear that first one, mate. It's really low.
First ever football match.
First ever football match. Dan will like this one. My dad took me. It was actually Crystal Palace versus West Brom. Because my dad was one of them people. He didn't really have a club. When he lived over Birmingham, he supported Millwall. In later life, he supported Chelsea, same as me. But he always supported his local club. And we lived in Norwood, so the local club then was Crystal Palace. So he was a bit of a Palace fan at the time and took me down at Paris. I think Cyril Regis put 3 past Palace that day for West Brom. And I think I ate more hot dogs than anything else. So that would have been my first my first football match. Certainly the first I can remember. Whether he took me when I was very young in a pram or whatever, I don't know. But
how did you change over to Chelsea then?
It wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't so much a changeover because I never really supported Palace. At that time, I was just going to watch football because my dad had took me to watch football. But I think, like a lot of things, you're influenced by your mates. And there was a kid that I really liked that I grew up with called Gavin Humphries, who was actually a brilliant little player. And he was on the books at Chelsea for a little while. He was on the books, I believe, down at Fulham with my other mate, Martin, who I think might be tuning into this tonight. And he was just a staunch sort of Chelsea supporter. So you end up like your mates, and I ended up following Chelsea back in the days when you had your sticker books, you know, and you had your... Yeah. And I think back then it was Colin Pates, Doug Rugby, David Speedy and all them, you know. Patsy Nevin, they're all players that I sort of grew up when I was really getting into football then, or getting into certainly watching Chelsea. They're all the players I really remembered.
Right. Well, what's your favourite ever footballer all time?
It's a funny question, that actually, because most people, I'm sure most people go on about their favourite footballers being either Messi's or your Ronaldo's, but for me, it is a Chelsea player. And I think in a lot of ways he was underrated. I just think for raw talent, Joey Cole. To this day, I think so. I mean, I still remember his goal against Sweden where he took it on his chest and volleyed it into the goal for England and that. But I just think arguably his better stuff was down at West Ham, but he became a complete player at Chelsea where he did other stuff, even if, to my mind, Mourinho ruined him a little bit for being a little bit overcritical at times. He kind of stifled his natural creativity. But Joey Cole and Lampard as well is another player I think I'd have to... So, but I mean, I know it goes against tradition of thinking like your Pelés and your Georgie Bests and all that sort of stuff, but I weren't about when they was about. So for me, I just thought Joe Cole was outstanding.
Right, yeah. Last question for me is: what's your favourite football-related documentary or film?
Documentary or film? Football film, probably Escape to Victory. Little bit of war in it as well. Absolutely loved it. I don't think it's been on this year, is it? It's usually on every Christmas. I don't recall seeing it this year. That'd be up there with it. Documentary wise, I must say, and it's probably as a Chelsea fan you shouldn't say, but I did like the one of Beckham and the Nicky Butt and all them coming through. The United documentary that was a decent documentary, to be fair. I mean, no matter what you think, as a football fan, even though I'm a Chelsea, you have to say that particular crop of players that come through at United were outstanding. And I think that was a really well put together documentary.
Right.
Gary,
me then. Right.
What was that?
Can you hear me, mate? Hang on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you sort of going, can you hear me? Shouting. Yeah, it's so low, it's unbelievable.
You're loud and clear.
Yeah, I know. It's because I've got a mouth like fog on leg on. It's just I don't know what it is. I've tried to turn the volume up on this thing, but it's almost like it's set at where it wants to be and it won't change because my volume's full up.
Right. Well, look, we'll crack on with my questions. Who would you support if you didn't support Chelsea?
Accrington Stanley.
Who are they?
No, probably, to be fair, it would be Palace. I mean, I think I mentioned earlier my mate Martin, if he's listening, he played for Fulham. So I used to go to Fulham probably more than anything else because he'd get us all tickets and me and all the boys and down to Martin would be down there drinking in the players' lounge afterwards and all that. But I think as a team to support, and I still have a sneaky little check on their results and watch them one match of the day. And as long as they're not playing Chelsea, I'm kind of quietly chuffed when Palace do well, to be honest.
Well, we'll move
So that would be
along
Palace.
with that answer. Right. Can Chelsea win the league this year?
No. A few weeks ago, I would have said yes, and I did actually back them at the start of the season. I took 9-2 in a multi-bet with a few other teams from different divisions. So I had Bournemouth, I got Sunderland, and a few round well, Real Madrid and all that. But I think based on their recent form, and they just keep, for whatever reason, I mean, that was a given against Brighton. That the longer it went on, you just thought they're going to nick an equaliser in a minute, and this is going to go down the pan. It did. I think at the moment, I think we're more dependent now on others slipping than we are our own form. Even if we get our form back, which I can't see, I think we're going to have one of them dipping in and out of forms for a while now, unless we get a full squad back. I mean, even when you look at our squad with the players that are out, we're still a squad that should, we're still a team that should be beating. No disrespect to Brighton fans and Brighton, but we should be beating Brighton. In the draw we had in the week as well, the other week, we should be beating these teams. So I think, given that, no, I don't think we will win the league. I'd be happily, I'll be pleased if they surprise me and we did win it. But I can't see it now.
City's all day long, mate, if I'm honest.
Sorry, Gary?
I think it's City's all day long.
Yeah, I do now, mate. I can't
really
see anyone getting back at them. Not now.
Boring old Premier League, mate. That's my view anyway. We'll move on quickly. Right, here we're going to change it a little bit. All-time favourite actor.
All-time favourite actor. I'll go with one British, John Hurt. Naked Civil Servant, Max in the Midnight Express.
Yeah.
I thought John Hurt was just a terrific actor, so changeable. American, I've always been a fan of Sean Penn, to be honest with you, but I like your usuals, like your De Niro's and your Al Pacinos. Of the two of them, I think I probably favour Pacino out of them two. Everyone goes on about that famous scene in Heat where they were sat across the table. I've just always been a bigger fan of Pacino, but I think Sean Penn has always been a very underrated actor.
And what director inspired you most to get into movies?
Director, again, it would probably be a bit boring because you're going for the knowns again. Probably would be Scorsese or your Spielberg. Spielberg, I mean, is superb. No matter what he turns his hand to, whether it be a war film or a great big epic about aliens, it's just, he always seems to hit the spot, doesn't he? Schindler's List and all that, He's just done some superb films. So probably I think Spielberg's the one to aspire to. But in terms of the sort of films I like, I'd go for a Scorsese or a Tarantino.
Brilliant. Right, I've got three for you now. 3 questions for you now, Michael.
What's that, mate?
I've got 3 questions for you myself now.
Go on, mate.
Pie mash or full English?
Oh, I like both, but I'd have to say, for me, a pie mash nicks it. Pie mash, and especially to be honest, I was going to say on a cold winter's day or something, but I can eat it any time. I eat it with sweat dripping off me at 90 degrees out. I love a bit of pie mash.
Right. What gives you the most gratification? Acting, writing, or directing?
I would say probably writing if you get it right. If I'm writing a script, that moment where I read it back and I'm enjoying it, and I get and type the end, once you fade out the end, that gives you a hell of a lot of satisfaction. In terms of, I love directing. It can be a bit stressful, particularly if you're producing as well, or if you've got an investment in terms of your company is the one that's doing it. But acting's probably the easiest. Acting's the most enjoyable. There's no stress in acting at all. You just turn up, say someone else's words, and go home.
Right. Gotcha. Right. Last question, Mike. And this will lead on to the rise of the foot soldier. We're going to show a little trailer from that after of yourself in it. Who would you put your money on if Vinnie Jones got in the ring with Craig Fairbrass?
If they got in a ring, I'll tell you what, they're both big fellas. I don't know what the age. I think they're probably similar ages, actually. But Craig's a big lump, and I think Craig certainly looks like he can move a bit better in terms of fluidity in the ring. Vinny's a bit more upright, isn't he? I'm sure Vinny would land one on you with the nut.
Might be
I think it'd be a fairly close fight.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to say, to be honest with you.
Could be a trilogy, couldn't it?
It could be. Yeah, maybe they should do that. So maybe they should do a celebrity grudge match or so. Not that they've got a grudge; they seem to get on really well. But maybe do that. Maybe pit Vinnie and Craig off against each other. Let them have a tear up, and we can all. I think I'd actually pay to watch that. Would you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, let's do it, and then we get some of the others in it, and we get little Sam Gittins to fight Terry Stone.
Yeah, we want commission though. Yeah, for bringing up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll tell them. Yeah.
Right,
we'll set that up.
We're going to play a little trailer for yourself in it, Mike. Now, and then we'll chat a bit about Rise of the Foot Soldier after. So over to you, Si.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Tom, come on, the old Bill. We'll be doing statements all night. Let's go. Right. Come on. Let's go. Come on. It's all right, mate.
Hello, darling. You all right?
Fuck off. That's nice, isn't it?
That's a fucking third time he's been mugged off tonight.
Third time I've been mugged off. You're the ones losing your touch tone. I saw you get blown out by the fat bird.
Oh, fuck all that. Come on, let's get kebab. Hello, mate. You all right? Just doner meat and chips, yeah? Chili sauce.
Yeah, I'll find us a doner kebab we are. Yeah, no worries, mate. Sweet. Yeah, what's all that?
Empty your fucking pockets. You know who the fuck I am? Oh, can you hear me? Empty your pockets, mate.
Come on, lads.
I don't get involved, Tone. I'm starving. Let's get a kebab.
Ah, he's always got to be an hero, hasn't he? Come on.
Well, yeah, there we go. I've watched the film. It's very enjoyable. Some bits are far-fetched, but I suppose you have to do that in films to make a very enjoyable film. And I just can't get me around Tony Tucker's syrup in it. But I think that's what his wig was. That's what his hair was like years ago, wasn't it? But I don't know.
Yeah, a good film to be a part of, to be honest with you. And it was nice to work with Sam as well, because obviously he was in break. It was nice for me to be the other side of the camera this time. No pressure, as I've said, when you're acting. Yeah, I mean, they're a clique, the guys. I mean, they've done, I think that's their 5th now. And funny enough, a lot of people don't know, I actually was in number 3 as well. As a different character. I only played like a screw with a cat letting someone in on the gate. With young Laura McMonagall, who played Craig's girlfriend in it. Right. Pat Tate's girlfriend. And I'd worked with her on The Wee Man before. Because the same, I don't know if people know, but the producer of the Footsoldier films, Andrew Loveday, is also the same guy that produced The Wee Man, the Scottish gangster film about Paul Ferris. Right. So it was good to be back, you know, to work with Andy again as well as a producer, because he's a top fella.
What did you do any parts with Vinnie Jones in the film? What was he like?
There was a scene I was in with Vinnie Jones, but you don't really get a chance to speak much when you're standing. You have the odd little chat, but usually it's just standing there and like he might stand and go, "Oh, it's cold, isn't it?" You know, it's like, and you're waiting for the cameras to roll. So yeah, it wasn't really I was in about two scenes where he was there, 2 or maybe 3 scenes where he was there, but I didn't actually get to work with him. Like, I didn't have any dialogue with him. My dialogue was mostly with Terry Stone and probably Sam and the other guys, and JC Lathan at Ailithon, who turns out he's a local boy, lived not far from me, lived in Norwood on the same estate I grew up on, Woodvale.
Right. Oh, brilliant. I see that. Is it Terry? What's his name? Terry Stone?
Yeah.
I see him at some function the other week, and he's got hair like you, hasn't he? He's got no hair.
Yeah, he's bald as a coat. Yeah, yeah, he's bald. Yeah, he's got no hair.
Yeah. Well, anyone else want to ask anything about the film?
Yeah.
Anyone else want to jump in and ask Michael anything? Go on in, Gal.
Yeah, I have. Mate, I'm going to be a bit critical over the film, to be fair, because, and it's interesting being you've been a director as well. And I'd like to get what your take is on it. So one of the things that I when I was watching the movie was the fact that the clobber they were wearing just wasn't original. It was all Terrace Coat. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Steve and the boys at Terrace Coat. They've had an opportunity to do some fantastic marketing of their product, but it ain't the products of the day. And for me, it was so in your face. If you know, a lot of people watching that movie would be from the casual scene and all that. And the one thing that really stood out was they're all bowling around in terrace court gear, which is 3 years old as a company, you know. And I just didn't think, did they have to sell the authenticity of the movie for sponsorship money? Or for me,
yeah, no, I can understand that, Gary. I totally get your point, mate. I think for me, I actually had a Sergio in it, a vintage Sergio. At something when I was in the gym doing some work in the gym, and I think young Sam did as well. But yeah, I don't know the relationship between the guys. I think is it Terry you said? Terrace Casuals.
Terrace Cult.
Yeah, Terrace Cults. Yeah, they were on set for one of the days. I didn't really manage to speak to them, but I do get your point.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
And it probably it's something that I was an actor in it, but probably for me directing, I might have had a problem with that. If I'm honest, I might have said, no, I don't want that because it wasn't off the time.
Yeah, not knocking Terrace Cult at all.
Yeah, no, totally. I've got a couple of their bits here.
Fair play to them, a great opportunity. But just for me, being picky, it didn't authenticate the film, if you know what I mean. Anyway, that was it. Other than that, yeah, you had a good part in that. You were in it quite a lot.
Yeah, there was unfortunately there was another scene or two I can't remember now that I was meant to be in. But I had a job that I flew out to Romania to do a job for a little while, and I had to isolate when I come back, and I was meant to go back down on set. Yeah. And I said to him, I said, look, I can't come down unless you want to stand the fine, because at the time I think they were dishing out £1,000 fines. But this, probably shouldn't say this, Kay said, I doubt they're listening anyway, but I didn't realise at the time. I didn't have any of them little apps and all that stuff where they track you. I don't go in for all that crap. So realistically, although they did take my details when I landed on the plane, so possibly they could have come round, which is what worried me, because people were saying, oh, they come round and knock on your door, and if you're not isolated and you've gone out, they can fine you £1,000. And somebody told me that their mate got fined £1,000 or whatever. So unfortunately, I didn't go back down to do my last day or two of filming. So there would have been a couple of other scenes, but it was nice to work with them all. And Nick Naverne, the director, and that, and Andy, as I say, the producer again. They're all good lads, and it's a nice environment to be on. Like when filming, most times when you're filming, acting generally is fun anyway. You're going down, you're getting paid to play different roles or be other people. But in that particular environment where they're all just chaps, you can imagine it's like you have even more of a laugh. When as long as that camera's not rolling, it's just constant piss taking and banter, and you know, especially Terry. To be fair, he's like a big kid, which is funny to watch, because it's like 1 minute he's crying with laughter, and then the director's shouting, "Come on, in action!" He's like, "Right, switch on and do your bit." You know, it's but it was good. It was nice film to be a part of.
Have they taken it too far now? I mean, the trilogy. Surely they can't go any further with it, can they?
I think they've got another 3 in the pipeline already done.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. I did hear a whisper, I don't know how true it is, that there's a series in the offing, though, but I think it's... it can't obviously be about Tate and all them, I wouldn't think, but it'll be about the Essex scene, so there might be like a series, a crime series based on that. But I know Nick Love's doing one out in Spain at the moment, like The Business.
Oh, is he?
So yeah, he's got something he's doing. I think because he's talking to the clobber on that, Neil Primmitt, who runs 80s Casuals.
Yeah, no, Neil.
I think Neil's providing all the clothing as he did for The Business. I think he's doing all the clobber and that for the guys for the series as well. And I think that's going on now out in Marbella.
Oh, brilliant! That's good.
So, but that's not really football related. It'd be more about the drug scene and all that. And
yeah.
Right, Mike, we got loads to get in, but what stuff you got coming up yourself? Any plans? Anything you're working on?
I've just done a short version of a feature film that I've already written. It's about an ex-kickboxer called Ken Lawton, who won the British title in 1986, I think it was. And he's basically, in the last few years, he's nigh on 60 now, and he'd had heart problems, and he had a stroke, a mini stroke. And then, unfortunately, most people would think, you know, I'm sort of done now, that's me finished. But he got back in the ring and had a fight, you know, knocking on to 60 and all that. And it's a remarkable story. And he also used to run the doors up the north for years. He's the head of like a big security company now. They've proper cracked off, you know. He's doing really, really well. but just a nice guy. When I met him, his story was interesting. So I've written a film of that. We shot the short version of it with Sam Gittins again. I don't know why I keep going back to him and ended up working with him, but he does the job. He's good. And also as well, he used to box Sam as well, so it was a no-brainer for me to get someone who could actually move about the ring, although he's not a kickboxer. So I've just done that. I've got Eddie Webber has written a really decent script called Rough Justice, which I won't tell you too much about because it's his script and it's in the pipeline, but I believe it's with a top producer or television company or whatever at the moment, and I'm down to direct that. So hopefully that comes off for Eddie. He's a top fellow, Eddie. I don't know if Gary, you might have spoke to him or it was you, Dan. I can't remember.
Yeah, we had a cracking interview with Eddie. Really good interview and got on really well.
Yeah, he's a lovely fella, Eddie. He really is. I call him the grumpy old man sometimes because me and him bicker on the phone like two old women. But yeah, so he's written a great script, Eddie, and I'm attached to direct that. Hopefully that goes in the new year. Other than that, I'm just writing a couple of other projects, trying to get something off the ground. I found it quite hard lately, though, for some reason. I just can't get my head around things. I don't know if it's this whole situation at the moment, the way things are with this lockdown and everything else and all this other nonsense that's been going on. It drains you. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of flip stuff a little bit. And I'm trying to get my oomph back to get cracking and get things finished.
Yeah. Well, it sounds exciting, that new kickboxing film. But Mike, thanks for joining us for this interview. But feel free to stay on and add to the discussion the bits we've got coming up, mate. But
I will do. What I might do, while you're doing that, I'm going to try and flip to the laptop. Yeah, another laptop to see if I can get a better sound, because I wish I could show you what I'm hearing. I can't even believe that I can hear you, to be honest. It's so faint, it's unreal.
Hey?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm born in South London, Dan. You just expect me to go, well, and repeat it.
No, thanks again, Mike. And yeah, stick around, mate, and
I'll try and log in on the laptop.
Cheers, mate.
Nice one, mate.
All right, cheers, Simon, Gary.
Right, we're going to touch on a couple of good stories from this week. Obviously, we all know the young girl, Isla Caton. It's not a good story. I probably shouldn't have said that, but it's a nice story that's come out of West Ham this week. Isla Caton, the young girl suffering with neuroblastoma, a very rare form of cancer, child cancer. And they got the sad news that she might not make Christmas and the treatment's not working no more. So they're just trying to create memories for her and just give her a brilliant Christmas. And she's still going. She got through Christmas. Some brilliant videos shared by her mum. Loads of toys, having great fun. But at West Ham this week, I think it was at home to Southampton on Boxing Day. I think Simon's got a picture he's going to put up, but they made a number 12 on the team sheet, which was an amazing gesture. And yeah, just a really nice thing to do. And that's not the only nice story this week as well. We got at QPR, there's a young boy called Felix. I think he's 8 years old and he's been suffering from leukemia. And he's beat it after 3 years. And they invited him onto the pitch at home to Bournemouth to ring the bell. And you ring the bell when you've beaten leukemia or any cancer in the hospital and you wait out. And they invited him onto the pitch. I think we've got a video of that. Have we, Simon?
This young QPR fan, 8-year-old Felix Martineau, is ringing the bell to signal the end of a 3-year battle with leukemia, with help from his big sister, of course. Certainly is a truly inspiring little boy who deserves his time to shine at the home of his heroes. So, a very well done, Felix, from us all here at Sky Sports. The second half in this one comes up after the break.
Yeah, lovely gesture, that. Really heartwarming to see. And yeah, good story. But now there's a bit of the ugly side of football. This is something we shared on our Facebook page in the week, and it's Epsom and Ewell playing Oak Dorking, and one of their players took the day. Well, it was Boxing Day game. I think he took it too literally. Anyway, I think Simon's got the video.
He's gone. He's gone. He's been on the pitch 5 minutes. He's just started a riot, and now he's been sent off. Oh, look at him go! Look at him go! Oh, he's throwing bangs, and he's going for Dyson as well. He's trying to throw bangs. Record. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Look at this muppet.
Yeah, safe to say the club have announced he's been removed from the club and fired and banned. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that in a local Sunday league or kids football. I think Kingsdale had a few of them, Mike.
Yeah, we did. I used to play for a club that we had, Sunday club. We started out at the Rosendale. We ended up playing out at the King's Head up in was it the King's Head up in West Norwood, next to the station.
Yeah, I know you mean.
That geezer called Dave Bailey ran it at the time. And we started up a team. We couldn't think of a name, and my mate came up with it, and it was called ESAD, ESAD, which meant eat shit and die for some reason. So you can imagine the tone of where we started out. And every week, without foul, someone would mouth off to the ref. The ref would shout back at the player, and then the other team would say something, and it would kick off every week without foul. I think I was the only one who didn't really get involved in it. Whenever it used to go, I used to go, oh, for God's sake, come on, boys, let's just play football. And they'd all be steaming into each other. So, I mean, yeah, Sunday football's just rife with all that, isn't it? Sunday football.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, but I don't think that geezer will be playing again. Right, it's moving on to another sort of not ugly story, but it's Southend United and what's going on there. And I believe we've got a chap coming on. He wants to stay anonymous, which is fair enough. We've seen how the Oldham fans got treated recently after they kicked up a stink against their chairman. And I believe Simon's going to take over now, mate.
Probably the manager.
Yeah, just a brief thing, a bit about Southend, and then we'll bring on this chap from the Martin Out campaign. There's been all sorts going on there. I mean, Ron Martin took over in 2000. All sorts of stuff come out, like it was two separate companies, I believe. One bought the ground, and then they were paying 40 grand a year back to the owners to rent their own ground. They've had several winding up orders. People haven't been paid their wages. They've had transfer embargoes. I believe they're under a transfer embargo right now. So, yeah, I mean, they're looking at maybe potentially their third relegation in a row, which will put them in the 6th tier of English football. They're 4th from bottom. So, yeah, terrible. So, we'll bring the fella on now just to see, and he can maybe clear things up a bit more for us about what's going on. Hello, mate. Hello.
He's doing what I've done in the first go. He can't probably connect to it.
It's not Jerry Adams in the Houses of Parliament, is it, talking?
I don't know where he's got his mic off as well as his camera.
If he's got a camera with a mic all in one, he won't be able to have his mic on, will he?
He's on a laptop.
We can come back to it. So if you want, I can touch on Berry quickly.
Yeah. Oh, he's gone off. Right, okay, yeah.
Oh, we'll come back to that story. It'd be good to get him back on. But another great story this week was Bury FC. After they gained promotion in the 2018-19 season to League One, they never kicked a ball the next season because they went into they got thrown out of the league. First time it's ever happened in its history, a Tier 3 team being expelled from the league through financial reasons. And the problems started there was, again, a dodgy chairman, property developer who was borrowing money off the club against the Gig Lane ground. And so it left him in a financial turmoil. So he sold the club to a mate, Steve Day, I think his name is. I hope I haven't got that wrong. For £1. No one's heard of him. And all I knew about him was all the other firms he's been involved with went into liquidation. So how is this this fit and proper persons test? How does it work? It's not fit for purpose, is it? But anyway, getting by all that, it was announced this week that the government have given, is it the uplifting loan or something? They've given £1 million grant to Bury, to the fans, to do up Gig Lane, 12,500 seats. They can do it all up. It'll be open for women's football, men's football, youth football, schools. And I can't think of the name of this grant now, but it's part of this COVID thing where you give uplifting or up. It's a word that Boris uses a lot. I don't know what it is. I can't think of it. But it's great news for Bury. So hopefully he'll be back playing football 22, 23. I don't know what league, but it's brilliant for community. And because the football community survive on their little clubs, don't they? So it's another heartwarming story. So anyone want to add anything to that?
Yeah. You know, one of us has always got to have a rant. So, mate, I think football needs to hang its fucking head in shame. I really do. I think the fact that the government have bailed Bury out and give that power to the fans to be able to get that club back up. Bury should never ever have gone under. The football community. What's £1 million to these clubs? Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying give it to the dodgy owners, but like what the government have done, they've given them a package that they're going to run it like a community, right? Why is the government using our taxpayers' money? It's us that are paying for it, and I don't begrudge Bury it at all. I really don't.
I don't.
Right? But it's taxpayers' money that's going to bring Bury back to life, which is great. But fucking hell, the football community's got how much money?
We had this discussion the other day, didn't we? 25 grand each from each of the top flight clubs could have doubled the money they've got now. That's all 25 grand.
Due diligence. If the owners can't run that club, kick them out. You know, get them a jog on, and you know. I just think
in all the
years of the but I think it's
in all the years of the
great news for the football community.
The fit and proper persons test, in all the years it's been running, there's only 4 people who've been turned down, which tells a story. Really, it's not fit for purpose. They're the oldest club in the world, or one of the oldest clubs in this country. Bury, aren't they? One of the founder members. It's shocking. It's called, and that's what it's called. I've got it now. Levelling up funding from the government.
Dan, we got a friend from Southend back on. Shall I bring him on?
Yeah. Going back like the Southend.
Being the grumpy one, by the way, folks. But never mind.
Hello, mate.
Hello. Has it worked this time?
Brilliant. Can hear you loud and clear.
Good. Cheers for having me on. I'm doing this quite anonymously because we've all been threatened with banning orders from our pitch invasions. So we're going to try and protect ourselves a little bit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you want to give us a little rundown on what the issues are at the moment then?
Well, the transfer embargo got lifted today.
All right.
So I don't know. Like, obviously, I'm sure you all know Southend United are. Back in like the 2006-2007 season, got promoted to the Championship, then got relegated in our first season. Just kind of stalemated between League One and League Two for 10 years, well, 6-7 years, then got promoted, then stalemated for a little while. We've now gone through since 2010, 24 winding up orders.
24.
All of them brought by HMRC because we don't pay our tax bills on time because our chairman just sees them as a personal loan and bank. I think we're now under it's either our 4th or 5th transfer embargo in 2 seasons. Obviously, 4 seasons ago, didn't get relegated by the skin of our teeth by a goal on the 88th minute against Sunderland from League One. Next season, got relegated. Next season, joined League Two. We'll be all right. We won't get relegated. Got relegated again. And we are now in a relegation scrap in the National League. And we are awful for starters. We literally should not be. To be fair, actually, I shouldn't really. Since we've had like our change of management, like the off the field football stuff has improved so much in the last 6 to 8 weeks. We're starting to see an improvement. We saw a real significant improvement on Boxing Day against Bromley. We're taking. Considering the position we're in, we're taking fans absolutely everywhere, as you can imagine, from a team with our kind of league history and stuff like that. And it's just now got to a point where, I don't know if you've seen the videos, we entered the field, we entered the pitch against Chesterfield in the 70th minute, pitch invaded, did it against Eastleigh on a Tuesday night. What happened was we had Phil Brown brought back as our manager. Obviously, we got relegated with him. He then stayed. First 6 games of the season was shocking. We then started to we've been protesting against our chairman for like 2-3 years. But the problem is our chairman's got this, I don't know if you know, Southend's had this stadium dream since like the year 2000. And
yeah, haven't you just had good news about that though, or is it not?
Well, it's now gone to the Secretary of State, so we don't know. And the other problem we've got is we're meant to be receiving £30 million worth of funding from the government for the new stadium. But I don't know if you're aware, our chairman, Mr. Ron Martin, is currently at Crown Court for HMRC VAT fraud for £5 million.
Bloody hell.
So
if you're chairman, you're not going to get that money, are you?
Well, we're pickled. Like we've got. Cut long story short, he's had planning permission to build. He's a property developer. So when he bought the ground, Southend United is owned by about 64 separate limited companies. So there is, like, for instance, if you look on our history, there's Southend United Football Club Limited. Then there's Southend United, the Football Club Limited, and then there's the Southend United Limited, and then there's loads of other companies which relate to things called SEL, which is like Southeastern Leisure, and then loads of other stuff where we've got to a point now where if we're 30 seconds late paying our HMRC bill, they instantly release a winding up order.
Hence why you've had so many.
Yeah, they just instantly release them no matter what. If we have a obviously a winding up order is an instant embargo, which is why we have so many transfer embargoes. This time last year, we went under a transfer embargo. We were told no, it would be lifted. We'll be fine to sign players, etc., etc. And they lifted it like a day and a half before the end of the January transfer window. By that point, there was no fans out because obviously it was behind closed doors and all that stuff. We were near enough already relegated. We started a protest. There's been some kind of really mellow protests, which were just like people gathering in car parks outside the stadium, getting 200, 300, 400 people to them, which was the start. The thing that's probably most frustrating is we planned a protest to happen day before yesterday against Barnet, which was actually going to involve walking through in other words, closing down the busiest street in the town. If you've ever been to Roots Hall, it's the main road that leads all the way down to the stadium. We were going to walk down it specifically to close it and cause a massive traffic jam, which we were quite surprised. The police were going to support and all sorts. And the number, even for the first time ever, the supporters trust has said we now support this protest. All the groups had got behind it and all that, and we're now in a position where we believe, as far as we're aware, we only have a maximum of 2 COVID cases in our football club. And we know this, I can't say how because it will give away who I actually am, but we know for a fact. And they called the game off based on COVID, but we're pretty sure that it was called off because they knew the protest was going to happen.
Protest coming up,
Interesting.
They announced, so what was quite ironic was, we've got a great new footballing structure. So we've got a guy called Tom Lawrence, who's our new CEO, who was the CEO of Gillingham and did a lot of good stuff off the pitch there. For anyone who knows non-league football, our new football director of football is John Steele. Stan Collymore was the reason we started protesting because he told us to. He was going to get rid of Ron Martin for us. And instead of getting rid of Ron Martin, just got a job employed by Ron Martin. So originally was calling for us to protest. So we started protesting, started pitch invading, literally midway through games to stop games, which I was surprised never got any mainstream media coverage, considering we did it quite a bit. Stan then got silenced, was told that you're not allowed to keep protesting. Then we got a new management team, which, to be honest with you, is really good. We've got our old captain, Kevin Mayer, with Darren Curry help as his assistant, and anyone that's going to get Darren Curry can manage any team in the Football League, to be fair, let alone be someone's assistant. And a guy called Mark Bentley, who, if he was a Southend player, but footballing matter-wise now, and the fact the embargo has been lifted today, should actually see a bit of an improvement. But it doesn't change the fact we still need to get rid of our chairman, because he's just am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
You should have heard me a minute ago.
He's a no good cunt.
I weren't ready for that one.
Oh, sorry, guys. But he's
I hate that word. Good. Yeah.
He's literally ruined. It's got to a point. Like we sold out Bromley's away end. We're in a, like near enough at the bottom of the National League, taking 900 to Nottingham.
Great support, yeah.
Like, and
I was at the Bromley game. You see your banner come out early doors. I don't think they showed it on the telly though, because you was underneath the cameras. We've been getting dialogue from like our police police officer, the footballing police and liaison officer. And in other words, certain members of us have been getting searched before we enter every ground, whether it's home or away. If you just go to Google and search like Southend versus Eastleigh, you'll see we had a 15 metre by 2 metre high banner, and we paraded it down the side of the pitch in the middle of a game. I've seen it. I think we shared that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that. So like we did that. So like they've now started to search us for banners when we enter into the ground and stuff like that. And you probably like. Also, if you was at the game, what the hell were BT doing with them stupid like TV writing? The TV gantries were blocking everyone's view from every angle. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we're in a position now where it's pretty obvious that if we do get relegated, there will be no more Southend United Football Club. We can't physically afford the finances. If there is no more football club, then our chairman has rights to then just develop houses on our current stadium and on the next bit of land that we've got.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Sorry, Mr. X, I'll call you for jumping in. I was down your way about 6 months ago, and I went. I drove round where the new land is, and that's all fenced off with Southend United's new ground and everything all over the fencing, isn't it?
It's been fenced off for 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, that's nothing new.
It's well advertised as well. I noticed that.
The stadium design hasn't changed. Like the stadium, even like small parts of it have, like about putting flats in the corners and stuff like that. Like small parts of it have. The problem we've got is that bit of land you've seen. So in other words, half of it's one borough council, the other half's another borough council.
Right.
So you can't get planning. So planning permission is 2 councils. Yeah. So we apply. So the housing side of it, we're applying to 1 council, and then the football side of it's another council theoretically. And then the cemeteries objected because it involves where some of the people are laid to rest, which obviously they shouldn't be disturbed for a football stadium for starters.
No. Is it fair to say that your chairman will massively benefit if Southend United was no more?
I believe our chairman benefits. So so the problem we have is whether we get our new stadium or not, we will never be the owner of our stadium. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we can move into a 22,000 seater stadium in the conference. Yeah, fantastic. We're going to get 4,000, 5,000 people there. It's going to look empty. Look at teams like Darlington.
Yeah.
Like just start that principle. So either way, he massively he's a major property developer anyway. Like he doesn't according to Company's House, he has no money, but he definitely has.
So I think what Gary was getting at there as well, I think, is if the club did completely go under and he could then develop on that land as much as he wanted, flats, houses, whatever, surely that's going to benefit him financially.
Yeah, 100%. And this isn't. If you go and watch on YouTube, there's some some supporters Zoom calls a bit like this, where he physically swears at fans and calls us idiots. And,
I've seen it.
I've seen it.
He is on. We've now got to a point where our CEO has said that he's not involved in the day-to-day running of the football club. But he will not come out publicly because he's an egotistical maniac and say, I am not involved in the day-to-day football running the football club. If he wants to just finance because obviously, like most football clubs, we have a shortfall of cash every month. We need cash from somewhere, especially because of COVID and no gates and stuff like that. like there's a lot of really educated business people within our football club, and with the same as there is with any football club. We understand that. Listen, the new stadium and the property around the new stadium creates generational wealth for his football club, for his family forever. Like they're sorted. Once that's up and done, that's sorted. Or the only problem we have with it is that we then become either the tenant of a new ground, so he'll still continue to be the landlord. Like as soon as we get a new stadium, theoretically, we're a really sellable product because anyone that knows like football in Essex, it's either like it's West Ham, Tottenham, or Southend. That's kind of how it works. So we've got like when we won League One, our stadium was full every week. Like it's not a problem. Like we've got a really good catchment area, but who wants to go and watch terrible football? No one. Like that's kind of what it's got to a point. And now you're saying, well, I have been for 4 seasons. It's getting like it's just getting to a point now where it's so stupid. But the problem we've got is that our chairman's gone. Even if someone gives me 40 million, I'm not leaving. Well, that's fine. You don't don't need right now. No one would pay you £1 for our football club. But once we get a new stadium, then someone would come and buy us up. The problem we have then is a new buyer is then going to put the stadium into a separate limited company once again. Then they're going to charge us rent, so we're only going to be like the tenant of a football stadium once again. Or the other problem is that we still have him as a chairman, and we've got a massive cash shortfall every month. We're about so our budget in the football league is only smaller by one club who's Notts County. We spent our footballing budget for this season is £1.4 million. There's only 5 or 6 clubs in League 2 that have got a bigger budget than that, and our 1.4 million budget competes with the mid-table range of League 1. Like, and we are still I think we're 17th or 18th in the table. Like, we've been saying for years, we've got too much quality to get relegated. As it stands at the moment, unless something dramatic happens, we will end up in the National League South next year, and the problem is, all right, it'd be great fun because we'll have except for the fact we'll probably not get many no one will really want us there because there'll be fans every week. But it's just a case that we're trying our utmost now. We're protesting. We're trying to organise things. If the game goes ahead on Sunday against Barnet, we're going to protest on Sunday, which will involve closing down the town, the main road down to the ground. We reckon we'll get somewhere between 800 and 1,000 people coming to protest. I think that may change now, though, because they have managed to lift the embargo. So a lot of people's frustrations are going to be gone. But it's kind of the whole point of this is now don't stop. If we could, the main thing is we as a football club, we don't need a chairman.
Yeah.
We just need we understand he's there to build his houses and go and make his generational millions for his kids, his grandkids, and whatever. I get that 100%, and he's probably been with us long enough now to earn that right. But he then just needs to step away from the day-to-day management of a football club. Just stay away from it. You're not wanted. Get out of the way.
It sounds like he's, like you said, he's an egotistical. What do we call it? So he ain't going to do that, is he?
No, just go and watch the Zoom calls. You'll see what he's all about.
Yeah. So is it a horrible thing? Is it an horrible thing to say? Have you got to hit rock bottom and possibly go out of existence, but then to come back like many other clubs have done as a Wimbledon or there's plenty of other clubs who've come out and done it as a fans group, and I know that's the worst case scenario, but
I think the simple answer is that I don't support a Phoenix club idea.
No.
We are Southend. Some people are going on about so obviously Southend's just been made a city because of Sir David Amos. Yeah. I don't agree with all that Southend City stuff, and so I agree with Southend becoming a city. I don't agree with someone creating Southend City Football Club, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you lose your history, didn't you? Really?
There is people that there are people that have offered to step into his role with money, but he won't do it until he's got all his millions from his building projects. Which I understand the two, but to be so sadistic to say, if you offered me £40 million, I would not walk away from this football club. And when someone then asks, why is that? He goes, because I love this club, you stupid idiot. It's like, there isn't, I don't think there's one fan you could speak to at Southend United now that would go, I don't think there's one fan now that would say to you, like they want Ron Martin in our football club. Like we're creating visuals at every game to tell, like we've tried all sorts. Jim White's about to do something on Talk Sport about it. We've been covered a few times on Talk Sport. He's interviewed Ron Martin. Ron Martin just gives him the same buff questions all the time.
Yeah, I've heard him.
We now have a great footballing structure. Hopefully, like I know for a fact that we've had a player signed since the second weekend in November, whose wages we've been paying, but we can't register him to play because we was under the transfer embargo. So we've been paying a player who can't play for 5-6 weeks, which is. And then last year, like I don't know if last season we signed 2 players from Rochdale in January. Not one of them played a game for the whole season because they couldn't be registered because of the transfer embargo. But we let them sign contracts and pay their wages for 6 months.
Crazy.
It's shocking, and it's bad for them and all the players, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, and the worst part was we were due to sign a player. We were due to sign a player just before the embargo hit. Embargo hit, didn't sign him. He went and signed for Notts County, run absolute riot against us the following Saturday, set up 2 goals against us. That's like how it is. But I just feel like it's a bit of a time for all Southend United fans now. Like you won't hear anyone talking positive about our chairman. Everyone will talk positive about our new football inside completely. Our new football inside is great. It's just having the backup of the right chairman. And none of us want him, so he can go. But it's just about it's like what Blackpool did and like Bury and stuff like that. Like you need to start making your voices heard, and like just standing in the ground. Just standing in the ground and not making noise isn't enough, which is why we started like entering pitches.
I think
thanks for the coverage, guys. It's much appreciated.
No, you're welcome. And it's all you can do is just keep pushing it and getting it out there to everybody you can, and just put as much pressure on him, and affect his ego. And I think, hopefully, fingers crossed, he will. I don't know, walk away because there's no other option, is there? But I really appreciate you coming on, Mr. X.
Cheers, guys. Have a great New Year. See you soon.
And you, mate. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, I don't know. We can really interesting chat there. I think Gary was going to touch on non-league. You can still do it, Gary? Or
yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you reckon? Have we got time? We can touch on it a little bit, but I think probably
go on, mate.
We can go in a bit more detail next week. That was an interesting conversation. I think really important that they get their message out, because that clip we put up about that chairman going into their end at that away game, you know, where he went in.
Sorry,
do you know, my initial impression was fair play to him.
Because he was facing up, like, yeah,
absolutely. You know, he's facing up to him. But in actual fact, on reflection, a really, really clever PR move on his part, that was.
Yeah, of course it was, yeah.
Because he made me think, well, fair play to him, you know what I mean? He's confronted the fans, what's wrong? But the truth of the matter is, I've got a feeling this guy is a very clever guy, and I think, you know, as alluded to there, you know, it's the guy stands to make a lot of money, I think, if the club goes under.
Yeah,
it sounds like.
It certainly looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, should the authorities be not? I mean, there is legislation within the football world, isn't there, for this sort of thing to be protected against? If you've got an unscrupulous owner who genuinely could make more money out of the club going under than surviving, surely there should be a governing body that would step in, because these clubs, touching on the non-league side of it, exactly what, you know, the point about non-league is that these little clubs are the heart and soul. Bury had their hearts ripped out. And they shouldn't have done, because football community, I'll go, no, I ain't going to rant again about that one. But fair play to the government for giving them the opportunity to come back. But the hearts ripped out of Bury, the hearts were ripped out of Mansfield, out of Rushden and Diamonds, all these clubs, Wimbledon at the time, their hearts get ripped out because, the big clubs have got that same effect with the communities. But these smaller clubs, I alluded to it in last week's show, these smaller clubs, they've got 3,000 or 4,000 fans. My God, they are hardcore fans, and they're all the community. The bigger clubs these days, too many half and half scarf supporters, too many tourists. It sort of gets a bit lost. But with Berries and Macclesfields and all these other clubs, it's the heart and soul of that community.
You say about authorities coming in, Gal. The authorities were to blame for Bury and for letting these dodgy owners come in the first place, weren't they? You mean authorities? You mean government or?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, when I say the problem is there isn't anything working to protect these clubs. One, there's the amount of money in football. The Bury situation should never have happened. I won't harp on about that. But like you say, there's supposed to be a governing body that protects the clubs, and it ain't working. It just isn't working, is it? It's like you say, if you've got unscrupulous owners, look at the situation you've got with Oldham at the minute. We touched on it last week. What an arsehole that owner is.
I think the problem with a lot of these organisations that are there to protect things, and I think you've seen it on a global scale, that they all become corrupt themselves.
Yes,
that they're all on a backhand, and I'm going to the very tops when you talk of stuff. I'm not going to go too much into the politics side of it, but like the UN and all that. Now, you've had stuff in the papers about them all being nonsense and stuff that's been going around the world. It's just all these organisations. It seems to be that there's a point of let's try and get into that, and we can make money, or we can do this or do that, and then they're all just helping each other out and nicking a few quid here and there.
I agree.
Look at the top of football, Mike. UEFA and FIFA, biggest corrupt. FIFA, the biggest corrupt people going.
Funny enough, when I first got into this game, into the writing side of it, I've been acting. I met a fella called Gary Trousdale, who's a Chelsea fan. He runs the Damilola Taylor Trust, Gary. I don't know if he still does, but he also launched the Spirit of London Awards. But he was so into the whole corruption in football. There was a fella called Graham Bean, who was the football compliance officer, who I went and had a sit down with. Because I was writing a script about the corruption in football, and I actually wrote a screenplay about it all. So I've delved quite into that about all the dodgy dealings and the stuff that was going on, and it was just mind blowing. I mean, a long time ago.
I sense another guest appearance coming on here.
Well, I think
that leads nicely into the quick touch on non-league.
Yeah, let's finish on a happy note, I think.
Let's finish on a happy note. Non-league football, absolutely flying at the moment. The attendances are up so much. We've been putting up on our platforms. One great example, let me put my glasses on. Oh, there you go. 7th Chair Bromsgrove against Stourbridge. Nearly 1,700 fans. Macclesfield. There you go. Timing, Simon. Bloody hell, you're psychic. Broke the record, their own record for an attendance, as well as that league's record. For all time. We've had huge turnouts. Bognor versus Worthing. Over 2,000 fans. There you go. Stockport County, nearly 9,000. A lot of that is down to the fact that they still follow the traditional Boxing Day fixture pattern of local derbies, unlike the professional game does, because the non-league still care about the fans. But no, there's absolutely a big trend, and honestly believe a lot of it is disgruntled fans now realising that this modern football world, where it has become a corporate product that doesn't consider the fans as much as they would like to think they do. The TV obviously messing up your whole world of football with different kickoff times, all that sort of stuff. And I think this is now reflecting in fans now turning their attention to their local clubs. And we're seeing it. I mean, the attendances at non-league football over Christmas have been phenomenal. We just touched on a very few. But, crazy, 1,000 Southampton fans turning up at Bromley.
I went to the game. It was a £5 for adults and £1 for kids, and that was their biggest crowd of the season and all.
Fantastic.
I mean, to be fair, average non-league prices range between 12 to 20 quid. To be fair, some are 20 quid. But we are going to get a lot more people on. I've got Gary Boatsy-Clark coming on in a couple of weeks with us, haven't we? And he's going to talk a lot about his local club, Colton Town. Obviously, Boatsy being a massive Forest fan. But the work and the commitment that they put into this local club now, and the work ethic and the charity events that they lay on, it really is quite something, and we really could do with a lot more time than dig a bit deeper into the non-league scene, which we will over time. I know we will. But yeah, I think the BBC, I'll touch on it. BBC did a bit of a documentary about non-league football, but they missed the whole point of there is a lot of this to do with disgruntled fans with the modern game, and now decided you can go and have a pint while you're watching the game.
Yeah,
all right, I know there's reasons behind the professional game not having a pint while you're watching the game, but
talking of that, I did see a story the other day where the police drove 10 miles to arrest 2 fans for drinking a pint in front of in view of the pitch. And they've got football banning orders for drinking a pint in view of the pitch.
They're throwing football banning orders out like confetti now.
Yeah.
And I think, if I'm honest, and maybe I'm being a bit, I don't know, tinfoil hat jobby here, but it does feel like there's an effort to drive the old type football fan, that working class bloke on the terraces, to
driving the passion out of the game.
Oh, they don't want passion. You can't have passion in the game. Unfortunately, passion leads to people losing their rags, saying the wrong things at the wrong time, and and if you've got passion, you've got to be very careful nowadays.
Talking about police, and hopefully next week's guest we got on is a fellow called Mike Howe. We all know him. He's an ex-squaddy out in Northern Ireland, ex-copper as well, and hopefully he'll come on and talk about the modern day policing at football, and also the racism he faced, or how bad it was back in the 80s and 70s and 80s, but compared to how bad they make it out to be today, which I don't believe it is as bad today. Well, it ain't as bad as it was back then, but hopefully he'll touch on a lot of them subjects, and he's a black fella, and he'll touch on a lot of that subjects and talk about.
No, he's a lovely guy, Mike.
Yeah. And,
just before we do anything else, what's your opinion on the non-league football? Have you thought about it, looked into it at all?
I'm assuming that's me, Gary.
Yes, sorry, Mike. Sorry.
Do you know what? The funny thing is, my local, like Dan, my local ones would probably be I've got Elkin just up the road here, but Bromley would be one. But the only non-league sort of stuff I've been to see all the lower leagues is Bognor Regis. Because I used to work down there a lot in between the acting jobs and all that. And my mate's got a building firm.
Was you a red coat, mate?
Do a bit of graft. Mate?
Was you a red coat?
That was a red coat, yeah. I'll tell you what, Bognor Town and all that was a decent little club. Bognor and Pagham as well, I've seen. Which is a little village just down in West Sussex.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like
2,200 they had against Worthing.
Yeah. Who, Bognor?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a good crowd down. It's a nice little ground as well. And the standard of football, they just missed promotion a few seasons back when I was down there. And that's why my mate kept saying, should we go and watch Bognor again? And we kept going. Like, we finished work and going down and catch an evening game, or we went down on the weekend. And it was good, I enjoyed it. The level of football's decent as well. If you're lucky, one day you might get a game. I'll take my boots just in case when I go and watch them. But no, yeah, it is good. It is, like you say, Gary, it is grassroots stuff. That's the stuff really that I think we should all, no matter what your club is, whether you support Palace, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, whoever, I think it's nice to support your local club as well. So I think certainly within following your own club, I certainly don't get down to Chelsea nowadays. So for me, to go down to Bromley or even to Elton or where and go and watch a few games would be nice. I think it's something that people should make the effort to do.
Yeah, and I think they are.
Without a doubt, I think more people should do it.
At Bromley for a while, they actually had if you had season tickets to Palace, Mill, or Charlton, you got discounted prices to go to Bromley, or even free, I think.
So that's a good thing as well, Dan. As well, wasn't it? If you had your bigger clubs that said that basically said that maybe in your programme one week at Chelsea, it'll go. You've got a coupon out to get, a £5 or a free pint or a free whatever down at your local club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the bigger clubs do support them and do direct traffic, so to speak. Down to your lower clubs. But I certainly think that it's a shame if these clubs do go under. It certainly seems at the moment from the figures you just shown with the support they've got that they'll be all right, touch wood. But obviously it takes a lot to run a club, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Simon, what was that one great example? Was it Hallam FC? Where anyway they put up. I'm sure it's Hallam FC. And this is a great example. 2013, they were getting 78 supporters. They're now getting nearly 1,200.
Wow.
In 2021. Yeah.
And was there something that started that, Gary? Was there a reason that suddenly picked up, or was it just because people are getting disgruntled with a big game?
All I hear off of so many lads that from the world we're all in, the football lad world, whatever you want to call it, all you ever hear is, I'm going to go to non-league, had enough of this. And a lot of people have been driven away from the professional, the top, shall we say, the top elite. A lot of people have been pushed away, and and I think that's what you're beginning to see, and definitely if your big teams are, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, well, we're going to go here, we're going to go there, and they're taking in the non-league scene a lot more. But there's definitely a big resurgence, if that's what you want to call it, of support heading to non-league football.
I think that's because they have taken a lot of the passion out of the game when you go to the grounds, and a lot of the restrictions. You can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm not talking about.
It's not what we. It's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not what we. We grew up with, is it? I mean, you got to sit in your seat. Even that standing rubbish that they've brought in, it's just a seat with a bar in front. I've had this discussion before, and it is literally, this safe standing is your seat, and they've just put a bar in front of it, and you'll be allowed to stand up. That is a difference for some clubs, but it's just expensive. I think they're kicking the arse out of it. I do.
It is, what Dan's saying. It is expensive, and all it.
You can't just take a couple of kids along. You're looking at a ton easily.
Yeah,
and kids can't just rock up on their own anymore. Like I used to go on my own with my mates. You don't see kids doing that now, do you? You can't.
It's funny, Dan, because you hear a lot of the time that people saying, "Oh, I couldn't take my kids back in the 80s. I wouldn't have took my kids, but I'll take them now," and all that. Mate, I was like 11 or whatever, going on my jacks to football in the late 70s. I think there was loads of us. But like you say, you could afford to do it then. I mean, when I first started going to football, it was for a kid 50p or something stupid. To get in.
It's fair. There is some good things. There is some good things about modern day football. We can't get away from that. There's some good. I can't think of any off the top of my head at the minute, but there are some good. Compared to some of, no, that's another show. But I mean, some of the shit you was treated like shit when you're on the terraces. Shit's really shit.
But
I mean,
you can still be treated like shit now, can't you?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, look at those lads. Was it Chesterfield lads the other week? Arrived at Grimsby, straight back on the train again.
Yeah.
Even had their tickets, everything. You know what I mean?
I mean, the quality.
I think the biggest thing with a game is it really is at times. I think, and I don't want that's going to sound a bit cliche all this, but it really is the beautiful game. When you watch good football, you watch, sort of clever little pass or a little back heel, whatever that results in the ball smashing the back of the net. It's fantastic, isn't it? It's when you watch, especially when it's your team doing it. You know what I mean? I think so. I think that's the level of the game.
I don't get to see much of that.
Is always, no, of course not. But Dan sees it now and then when Chelsea visit. But yeah,
I mean,
it's great to watch, and I think that's the difference. No disrespect to the lower guys, that's where your passion is, and it's grassroots. But for me, when you watch good football, it's like, you kind of in awe of what they can do sometimes.
I mean, I think one of the other elements. This is only my opinion, and I'm no doubt there'll be people share my opinion, but I find it hard going into these games and watching these guys with the money they're on, in the state of the world we live in today, and everything else, and the ridiculous money. And this is half the reason why. I mean, Chelsea just published crazy losses. How true they are, I don't know. But it was £146 million loss last year. They've just published. That's all down to players' wages, isn't it? I mean, they're just crazy money.
Bristol City in the Championship, 40 million losses, nearly.
I think a lot of clubs did with COVID last year. Must have done, didn't they? Must have done.
Yeah.
I knew you were getting that about Bristol City, sorry. I think I don't know if it's time to wrap it up now, fellas.
Yeah.
I think I've got some dinner on the table, I think. So,
Michael, you've been brilliant. Again, when you come on the radio with me, mate, it's always a pleasure having you on, mate.
Cheers, Gary. Thank you, mate. Good to sit and chat with you, fellas.
Thanks, mate.
Good luck.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Enjoyed it.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, and to you. All have a good one. And hopefully things are going to be a lot better.
New Year to everyone out there.
Yeah. And next week's show is 7 o'clock because there's a big game on a bit late. I think the semi-final League Cup.
Liverpool.
Liverpool. So we'll be on at 7 again. And if anyone wants to get in touch with us, it's get involved at properfootball.co.uk. If you want to come on the show or anything you want us to talk about, just drop us a line and we'll go from there. But yeah, anyway, thanks everyone for joining. Thank you to Southend fan. And Happy New Year. See you later, guys.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Bye.